Oh,
Okay. Okay, sir. I'm listening.
okay, are you hearing me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, did you want to share something? Okay, let's continue. Today we'll be dealing with virtualization and cloud computing. Over our previous classes, some persons will be asking some questions about uh virtualization, server down, why banks are having issues with network, all those. So I guess in with this class, I will bring more clarity to that. Okay, so we'll be learning about virtualization. We'll understand what a virtual machine is, and we'll know how to actually install a virtual machine. Then we'll understand cloud computing and some cloud computing concepts. We'll know the characteristics of public, private, hybrid, and community cloud computing. Okay. So we need to understand that virtualization enables your computer, now your system, your computer system or your system unit, which is going to be regarded as your host machine, to be able to have multiple operating systems. For example, now I have a Windows 11 computer system, Windows 11 laptop. So I can actually run a Linux operating system on my laptop with the help of a virtual machine. So, and what actually helps to do this are virtualization softwares, and those are called
What are
um,
you touching on?
virtual machines. So now what cloud computing now does is that it separates applications from hardware. So different cloud computing services are Amazon Web Service, that's AWS, um, Google Cloud, Google Cloud Platform, which is GCP. That one is hosted by Google. Then there's Microsoft Azure. That one is owned by Microsoft systems. Then you need to understand also that virtualization is actually like a foundation for cloud computing. So let's look at traditional server deployment. Now, what are servers? Servers are actually high-end computer systems. Remember when we built a computer system, we put the RAM, we put the memory, we put the processor, we put the cooling fan. So servers are also like computer systems too, are system units that are built to just save resources to other users. So we have a computer system. I can have a computer system or a system unit now that have so many hard drives connected to it. Remember, I showed you how you can connect multiple hard drives to your system unit. So now this system unit, this particular system unit I want to use as my server should have up to 1 TB of storage. Just for example, now if you open up your Google Drive, drive.google.com, you're going to see a storage. That's the amount of storage files you can store on your Google Drive. So have you ever wondered where is that space? Like, where is that space located? It's actually located on a server, which is actually a system unit somewhere else or in some other country that they've given you just a partition of storage to use to save your files. So the only disadvantage or the little disadvantages of these servers is that resources are being wasted. When I say resources are being wasted, it means that we might just have excess space wasting. So these servers come with terabytes of memory spaces, terabytes of RAMs. So which might not always be used up. So those spaces are being wasted. Then another problem is single point of failure. Once that system unit is down, your Google Drive, once the server that offers your Google Drive account storage is down, you will not be able to access your Google Drive again. You won't be able to access your files. So that's what's meant by single point failure. Then there are different dedicated servers, which are the web servers, the email servers, SQL servers, which is structural query language, and file servers. So web servers provide files that are supposed to be on web pages. The email servers provide files that are supposed to be on emails. SQL has to do with programs. Then file servers where you store documents and the rest. So server virtualization. You can see that here, server virtualization takes advantage of idle resources to reduce the number of servers required. So this is actually done by a hypervisor. So an hypervisor is actually a software that helps to manage different operating systems on one computer device. So you can also call it what hosts the application that hosts the virtual machines. An example of hypervisor is VirtualBox. So it actually provides your virtual machines. When I say virtual machines now, I mean those different operating systems like Windows OS, Linux OS, OS X that you have installed on your computer system.
Economic number 34 verse 5. So Moses, the servant of the Lord, died there, according to the word of the Lord. And the Lord buried him.
Okay, so each virtual machine runs a complete and separate operating system. So I can actually have my laptop here and have VirtualBox installed on my laptop. And it's going to run, that VirtualBox now is going to run a virtual machine. Like I showed you in our last class, I showed you how my VirtualBox was running a Linux virtual machine. So when you hear a virtual machine, it means another operating system, like another laptop within your laptop or another computer system within your computer system. So now, there's what is called client-side virtualization. So client-side virtualization is actually what enables you to run virtual machines on your own laptop. For example, what I have VirtualBox doing, that's called client-side virtualization. So it requires the host computer, physical, which is my computer itself, then the host operating system, which is my Windows operating system that's installed on my laptop, then the guest operating system, which is the operating system that is running on the virtual machine. So you can see right here, virtual software. This is actually the space for the hypervisor. If you look at this hypervisor hardware and the different operating systems. So let's look at this too. So this is the hardware where the system, my host operating system is installed to my own computer system, then the hypervisor, which is the virtual machine, and my different guest operating systems. So type 1 or native hypervisor is typically used with server virtualization. So they are used in data centers and cloud computing. So these kind of hypervisors are similar to normal client-side devices. So they actually run directly on hardware, which requires that computer system now to manage the allocation of resources that are being given to the different virtual machines. So type 1 hypervisors include normal VMware, vSphere, and hypervisors. So those are different hypervisors that we can call type 1. So type 2. Type 2 hypervisors are commonly used with client-side virtualizations. Now, this type 2 hypervisor, such as VMware that I talked about earlier, which is like a VirtualBox, works with the host computer to create multiple virtual machines. So type 2 hypervisors are Oracle VirtualBox. Remember I talked about VirtualBox. VirtualBox is actually the one I was using. So it's actually produced by Oracle. Then we also have VMware. So this VirtualBox now can be used to create a Windows 7 virtual machine or a Linux virtual machine. So I can create multiple virtual machines on my computer system. So these are the requirements for virtual machines, or for you to have virtualizations. You need a host OS, which is actually going to be running on your computer system. You need a processor, which is going to be installed on your computer system, on your host computer system, and that your system must have basic input output system, which is BIOS. Then you have to turn on the support for virtual machines from your BIOS settings before virtual machines can actually work. If not, they're not going to run on your computer system. So you have to have a minimum RAM of 4 gig and a hard disk space of at least 15 gig per virtual machine. So which means that if you want to have a virtual machine run on your computer system, that virtual machine you must be able to allocate at least 15 gig of storage to that virtual machine. So that's actually for Windows 10. Then if you want to run a Windows 11 virtual machine, you must have a host OS of Windows 11 Home or Pro. Then your processor now should be at least 1 gigahertz fast or faster. So remember when I showed you the properties of my computer system, and I showed you that my computer system is 2.4 gigahertz and has a maximum speed of 2.5 gigahertz. So the least amount of processor speed that your system should have should be 1.0 gigahertz. And same with the Windows 10 requirements, you should also be able to enable virtual machines from your BIOS menu. Then you should have a RAM of at least 4 gig. Then you can have a hard disk drive space of at least 10 gig that is allocated to your virtual machines. Then also you should have graphics card, a graphics that is compatible with a DirectX 12. So this DirectX now is actually a program that enables your computer system to process graphics. So for example, if you want to download some applications, they would require you to download DirectX. So DirectX is actually a system software that enables your computer system to process graphic features. So for my system to be able to show this image shown on the screen, so a DirectX runtime program is running. Okay, so let's just go straight to the lab, installing a Linux in a virtual machine and explore the GUI. So let me stop sharing and share my screen again so I can open my VirtualBox. Okay, so let me share my entire screen. All right. So actually have Oracle Virtual Machine VirtualBox Manager installed on my computer system. So if you want to download it, you just need to search um Oracle VirtualBox. So you're going to see a download here. So I can just come here, click on download. So depending on your operating system now, that's going to be dependent on what application you are going to download. So right now I'm running a Windows operating system. So the software I'm going to download is the one for Windows. Let me try and increase the size a bit so that you can see. So I'm going to actually install the one for Windows host. You can see my host machine is Windows. My laptop is currently running Windows on a Windows operating system. So since I'm running on a Windows operating system, I'm going to download that of Windows. But if I'm using a MacBook, and what I'm going to download is actually this. Or for the Linux, this, and these are other Linux operating systems. So I've downloaded that already and I've installed it. So what next? I'm going to have to download. Right now, I'm going to be showing us how to install a Linux operating system. So one of the Linux operating systems are, let me just search it. So okay, there are different Linux operating systems. But you can see now there are different Linux operating systems. There's CentOS, there's Red Hat Enterprise, there's Ubuntu, there's Amazon Linux. So actually, the Linux operating system I downloaded was Ubuntu. So what I'm going to do now is going to show you how to download Ubuntu. So after I click on Ubuntu, I'm going to come to download. So I'm going to come to the downloads here and look at this is actually where you download. So it's either you download this LTS or you download this 22.10. So the difference between these two files is that this one now, whenever there's updates, you might need to update it always. But this long-term software, this LTS actually lasts longer in the sense that it's more stable. So our advice when you want to download yours, you should download this one. So I've already downloaded mine. So I'm going to show you where it's located now on my system unit, on my computer system, which is actually here. So you can see this Ubuntu 22.10. So this is actually 3.79 gig, as you can see, and it's going to download as an ISO file. So over my mouse on it. Okay, so photo file. Let me just quickly go find it. So this is it here. I'm going to click on open, and it has already selected the type of operating system for me and the version, which is 64 bits based on what I downloaded. So I'm going to click on next. So it's going to tell me to set password. So I'm going to change it, input a password that I can remember easily. So now it's going to ask me how much memory do I want to assign to this virtual machine. So I actually have 16 gig of RAM, which is written in MB here. This is 16 gig of RAM, but it's asking me if I want to input up to 4 gig. So I can actually set up to 4 gig. So since I have 16 gig of RAM, I can give up to 6 gig to my virtual machine. But do that if I give up to 6 gig now, it means that while I'm running this virtual machine, it's going to be using 6 gig of RAM. Then now it's going to ask me for storage, for my processor rather. So I have my CPU, I have 4 CPUs available on my computer system. So the highest I can actually give is 2. So this CPU now determines the speed at which information is being processed. I can't give more than 2 since I have just 4. So for the RAM, I can't give more than 11 gig of RAM. So I'm just going to. So we have always make sure I do not cross this green threshold. So I'm just going to reduce it back to 6. So next. Now it's going to ask me for the amount of space I need to allocate to my virtual machine. Remember when I was showing you the slide, I showed you that you would have to allocate at least those requirements. Yes, 15 gig. That's if you are installing installing a Windows 10 operating system. So you need to allocate at least 15 gig to your virtual machine. So right now I'm doing on Ubuntu. So let me go back to my virtual box. I'm going to allocate 25 gig. So you can see it here, 25 gig. Okay, I think I'm missing something. Okay. Okay, let me just quickly increase it back to 25. All right, so I think I'm finished setting it up. So I'm going to click on finish. And this is it. So let's allow it to load. So now you can see it's installing my Ubuntu operating system already. So let's watch it install. So this might take a while, but not so long because my laptop has a really good processor. I remember I allocated 2 processors, 2 CPUs, and it's about 6 gig of RAM. So it's going to run faster. Yours might not run this fast, but let's just see how everything goes. So it might take a while to complete setting up your virtual machine. And that is very, really highly dependent on your system specifications. So you can see my Ubuntu operating system is up. So you can see verifying the installation configuration. So it's setting up after you finish, let me say, assume it was Windows now. After installing Windows to be setting up Windows installation. So that's actually what's going on now. So it's verifying if things are okay. So while this is going on, let's just quickly continue with this. So let's look at cloud computing. So cloud computing provides users with on-demand delivery of computing services over the internet. So cloud computing services are owned by and hosted by service providers. Most of us already use cloud services when you use social media applications, access an online music library, or use online storage to save photos. Remember what I talked about, using Google Drive or storing files online, Mega, all of them, they are all cloud computing services that we make use of. So organizations actually pay cloud providers a usage fee based on user access and usage of services. So I'm just going to explain that right now. So look at now, let's assume I open Google Drive. So you can see my Google Drive, and I'm going to show you the storage, how much have been used. So you can see I have 15 gig of storage. So I can actually buy storage, more space, which is actually what I showed you now in that slide. So buy more storage will increase your storage capacity. So there are so many packages. Like I said, you always pay the service providers. So if I want to have access to 100 gig of storage, I have to pay about 200 naira per month. So you can see this. After 1 month, I continue paying 390 naira, and they'll be giving me 100 gig. It's quite cheap, right? Very cheap. And I'll have access to my storage. Let me put my system on. Okay. Excuse me. So let's go back to our slide. So cloud service providers can provide various services tailored to meet customer requirements. And some of these services are software as a service, platform as a service, infrastructure as a service. So software as a service Examples are emails, Office 365. Office 365 is actually a platform Microsoft provides for giving you access to documents, writing on Word. Let me just quickly show you what that is. So this is Microsoft Office 365. So it's actually a cloud application where you can edit documents, make presentations and slides. Just like we have Google Docs or Google Forms. So those are applications, software as a service that Google is providing. So Microsoft software as a service are packages under Office 365. So you can see I can write Word documents here. I can write Excel, PowerPoint. So you can see this. Welcome to Microsoft 365. So these platforms are actually paid. So you might not get to be able to use them on your own for more than 1 month. So I'll just quickly close this back. So we also have platform as a service. So this includes tools and services used to deliver applications, it includes OS and application stacks. So these typically requested by applications and software developers. So software developers actually are the ones that make use of these platforms as a service. So I can actually run an operating system on the cloud, not even on my host device. So that's an example of platform as a service. For example, when I want to use Microsoft Azure AI services, I need to do them on cloud. I can't run those kind of applications on my host computer system because my system is not actually made for that. It has very low specification compared to the amount of specification I need. So I will now use Microsoft platforms as services. So I can now run some of all these applications on the cloud. Okay, so infrastructure as a service. So this includes network computers, virtual or dedicated and storages. So I talked about things like servers and data centers. So a company might need large amount of storage spaces. So they can now purchase a huge amount of storages from the cloud, from maybe Google or Microsoft or Amazon. So that's an example of infrastructure. So the Amazon or Google or Microsoft are providing resources for their companies to run their services. So that's like Microsoft providing infrastructures for that company to run. So cloud service providers have extended the infrastructure as a service model to provide IT as a service. That's information technology as service. So that's still a part of infrastructure as a service. So cloud computing characteristics include on-demand, self-service, rapid elasticity, resource pooling, and measured and metered services, broad network access. So these are just telling you that you can get them when you need them. They have the ability to expand. So when you want to, let me say you are actually paying for 15 gig of storage. Now you want to expand, you can pay more money and you expand your storage. So you can actually get more resources. You can pay for more resources and they will give you more infrastructure for your companies to run. Then these are actually what our banks run on. Things like infrastructure as a service and software as a service. So when we now hear that server error, server down, these are because they might be using a low end service provider and which can be too slow to run the kind of the quality of services the banks needs to provide. So we now start having things like transaction errors, or let me say for some moments you'll be saying that they will tell you that network is slow, this one is slow. So these are because the resources that they actually paid for are not enough to run the kind of activities that they're actually running on the cloud. So they might now need to pay higher. So to achieve efficient elasticity in the cloud, service must be provisioned and be provisioned rapidly. So you can see what I'm talking about. So it must be very, 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 very fast. So this is done using scripting, this programming actually. Then so software-defined networking are often used to perform these operations. So in the software-defined networking model, there are 3 layers: the application layer at the top, and the control layer in the center, and the infrastructure layer at the bottom. So you understand more of all these layers of networking when you enroll into the CCNE course. You see all of this. And so the application layer is actually where the systems on site actually do their work. In the control layer, these are the guys now, would I say they are on the cloud, that are controlling and administrating the transactions that are being made from host systems to the cloud platform. Then the infrastructure, which I also said, are the resources that these service providers give those host computers to use, or those companies. So the application layer uses logic to decide how traffic is prioritized and where to switch it. So the infrastructure layer is the physical and the virtual device that performs the routing and switching of traffic, like I said earlier. Then the software-defined networking controller is the center and controls of the application and infrastructure layers. Okay, so since we have come to an end to this chapter, let's just quickly check on our virtual machine. So, okay, our virtual machine is still running. So we're going to move to, since we still have time, we're going to move to, I just finished, to chapter 9. Yes. Okay. Okay. All right, so I'll just quickly share my screen again. All right, so this chapter we're going to be dealing with installation of Windows. So we're not going to be installing Windows since we're already installing Ubuntu, but I'm going to be teaching us how to set up our Windows completely. So we're going to be doing some real hands-on. We're going to be seeing some real hands-on practicals here, because this slide is really, 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 really long and is majorly practical. So modern operating systems. So what you need to know about operating systems is that they support multi-user. So two or more users can actually use them. They support multitasking. So the computer is able to run multiple applications at the same time. Then multi-processing. So the ability for your system to support 2 or more CPUs. Remember, I showed you my CPU has 4. My processor has 4 CPUs. Multi-threading. So the ability of the program to be broken down into little processes or chips that are loaded as needed by your computer system. So this multi-threading now allows different parts of the program to be run at the same time. So you need to understand that the OS boots the computer and manages the file systems. So that's one feature of an operating system. So basic function and operating system. So the operating system manages interaction between the hardware, the different hardwares, then enables you to manage your files, then enables you to interact, which means for you to interact, it has a user interface, and it also has applications which you can interact with. So these applications are loaded into the storage device, and with the help of the memory, you can load this or run these applications. So looking at the Windows operating system, so Windows 10 is an update from the previous version of Windows designed for PCs, tablets, and embedded devices and Internet of Things, IoT devices. So Windows 10 actually integrates Cortana. Cortana is actually a virtual assistant, just like we have Hello Google and Siri. Hello Google on Android device and Siri on iOS devices. So Cortana actually comes with Windows operating system. So I can show you mine here. So Cortana actually supports. So you can see Cortana is a virtual assistant, an AI that can allow me to talk to her. Okay, I'm not signed in. Which one did I use? I think this. So let me just sign in. So remember I said we're doing purely practical. So I have to explain everything in details. So you can see Cortana is actually talking to me now. Talk to me by typing the text box or select the microphone icon to use your voice. So I can actually talk to Cortana. Let's try this. What's the weather today? So Cortana is actually using voice to respond to me now, but you won't be able to hear that voice except I allow you to do that. So let me see if I can. Okay, I don't think I can set that because I'm actually sharing my screen. Okay, I have to explain audio first. So let's continue. So that's going to be that for Cortana. So we've seen how Cortana works. It's actually a virtual assistant that can help you automate. I can tell her to remind me I have a meeting by 9 p.m. So you can see Cortana did not recognize that. So it's actually customized to do so many things. But let's just put ahead. Then there are 12 different editions of Windows 10 with varying feature sets and use cases to meet the need of customer, business, and education environments. So like Windows 10, Windows 11 is an upgrade from the previous version. So Windows 11 is actually an upgraded version of Windows 10. And most of these changes are superficial, like smaller taskbar icons that are placed in the center. You can see my taskbar icons are placed in the center. Not that I can't place them by the left side, like the way the normal Windows 10 is, or Windows 8, Windows 7, or Windows 8 are. But Windows 11 comes with this cool feature. So There are also visual additions such as a better dark mode, transparency changes, and animation changes, among others. So you can see the animation changes. So if I should open an application, let me say Photoshop, you can see the way it pops out. That's actually the function of Windows 11. Windows 10 will not pop out like this. Windows 10 will not pop out like this. Let me just take that inside back. So you can see the animation. It got smaller and went inside my taskbar. If I bring it out again, to get bigger. And if I should minimize it, to do the same thing and go back. So widgets have been expanded and are now more personalized. So let's move forward. Compatible system software and hardware requirements. First of all, let's check our virtual machine. Okay. It's almost done. So to make an OS recommendation, a technician must review budget constraints, learn how the computer will be used, determine which type of applications will be installed, and whether a new computer may be purchased. So remember when we were building our computer system from scratch, we actually saw the prices of some different components within the system units. So those components now are determined or are dependent on what you want to use your computer system for. You want to use your computer system for video editing, so you know that you need some high-end components like 16 gig of RAM, a graphics card with like 8 gig memory, and storage of like 1 terabyte, and SSD, a SSD solid state drive, which is much more faster than a hard disk drive, which is the normal HDD we know. So these are some guidelines to determine the best OS for a computer. Does the computer use off-the-shelf applications for this computer? So off-the-shelf applications require a list of compatible operating systems on the application package. So does the computer use customized applications that were programmed specifically for the customer? So these are different questions because some companies now might run customized applications. So just like I have an application for live streaming, so this application actually can be customized for my computer system or for the purpose of an organization. So, and I can do this by manipulating the source code of this software. Let me just quickly close that back. So, for example, now, if I wanted to run a Windows 11, my processor should be at least 1 gigahertz, and with 2 or more cores. If I wanted to, for Windows 10, 1 gigahertz or faster, Windows 11 too should be faster or 1 gigahertz. So for a RAM, I need at least 4 gig of RAM to run Windows 11. Right now, I have 16 gig of RAM, so my system can run Windows 11 comfortably. Then for Windows 10, I need at least 1 gig of RAM for 32 bits or 2 gig for 64-bit operating system. I differentiated that in the beginning of classes. Then for Windows 11 does not run 32-bit applications. It runs only 64-bit applications. So you won't see anything like 32-bit applications on Windows 11. It won't recognize those applications. So for the graphics, you need a DirectX 12. I told you DirectX 12 is actually a system application that helps your laptop or your system unit to process graphics. So we can actually see the DirectX that is installed on my laptop. So I'm just going to show you that. So high display should be high definition, which is HD. When you hear HD, it means high definition. And high definition is about 720 pixels. So you can see DirectX, my DirectX version here is actually DirectX 12. So you can see DirectX 12. Since my graphics processor supports DirectX 12, I can run Windows 11. Internet connection, not necessarily. Then trusted platforms. Trusted platform module 2.0. These are only supported on Windows 11 devices. So you can be able to impute or manipulate the system to accommodate some kind of platforms on your computer system. So for the 32-bit versus 64-bit operating system. Now, this is different between 32-bit and 64-bit. So the 32-bit processor architecture is that it processes multiple instructions using a 32-bit address space. Now, if we did binary, we know that we go up to octadecimal, hexadecimal. We know we find up to 32 bits and 64 bits. So, it supports only 32-bit operating applications and operating systems, and it supports a maximum of 4 GB. So, if your laptop is 32 bits, it means the maximum amount of memory or RAM you can put inside is 4 GB. But if it's 64 GB, it can run both 32-bit applications and 64-bit applications and supports both 32-bit operating system and 64-bit operating system. When you want to install an operating system, it will ask you whether it's 32-bit or 64-bit you want to install. When I was downloading Ubuntu, you'll see that it actually has 64. It's beside it. Look at AMD 64. So it's actually a 64-bit operating system that I installed on my virtual machine. So an operating system must be upgraded periodically to remain compatible with the latest hardware and softwares. So some applications might be updated, and you need to always upgrade your operating system so that it will be compatible. So if you have softwares like, for example, OBS Studio, actually for live streaming. So the first set would have been released for, let me say, Windows 7. So when they upgrade the application might no longer work on Windows 7. You will not say that your computer must be at least Windows 10 for it to be able to run the application now. So if you want to run it on Windows 7, you have to go and use the older version of that software. So in that sense, it means that you'll not be able to have access to the new features that software actually holds. So upgrading your operating system also can increase performance. Your system can get faster or do things faster. For example, Windows 11 is kind of lighter and faster than Windows 10. Then, like I said, new hardware products often require the latest OS version to be installed or to operate correctly. Now, while upgrading your operating system, it may be expensive, and you can gain enhanced functionality through new features and support for newer hardware. So before upgrading your operating system, check the minimum hardware requirements for the new operating system to ensure that it can be installed successfully on the computer. All right, so now let's look at how can you upgrade your Windows. You can do this with the Windows upgrade assistant. Now I'm going to explain that or show you that software. So for example, and things that you need to know before upgrading your operating system is that a 32-bit operating system cannot be upgraded to a 64-bit operating system. Windows 7 and Windows 8 can be upgraded to Windows 10. But Windows Vista, Windows XP cannot be upgraded to Windows 10. So if you have your system is running on Windows XP or Windows Vista, know that you cannot upgrade to Windows 10. But if your system is running Windows 7 or Windows 8, it means that you can upgrade to Windows 10. But it does not necessarily mean that you'll be able to upgrade to Windows 11. Now, to upgrade to Windows 7 or Windows 8 to Windows 10, use the Windows Update Assistant. Now, it's available on download on the Windows 10 website. So you can actually even check. Let me say you're running on Windows 10 already. You actually want to upgrade to the latest version of Windows 10. You can actually download Windows Update Assistant. Let's check on our virtual machine again to see. So it's restarting. while restarting, I'm going to, let's just quickly come here and search for Windows Update Assistant. Oh, sorry, I just remember I'm running on a Windows 11. So that Windows Update Assistant is actually available on Windows 10 Store, Microsoft Store, not on Windows 11 Microsoft Store. So it's actually available on Windows 10. So you can see now my virtual machine is completely installed. I can now log in. It's going to ask me for my password, which I put that first time. So I'm going to put it and press enter. So it's opening, so you can see my virtual machine is ready. So I have a Linux operating system now working on my Windows 11 operating system. So I can connect this and this. I'm going to actually skip this. Let me just minimize this. So you can see I can create a new folder, show desktop info, sort my icons, change my display settings. So I'm going to open up display settings right now. So you can see my resolution. So I can change to dark theme. You can say I've changed to dark theme. Change my color to blue. I can also change my wallpaper if I want. So I'm going to change to this and I'm going to close it. So you can see my wallpaper has changed. So let me just quickly shut this down. I can do that from there, or I just come here. So I'm going to see power off here. So if you're actually operating on a real Ubuntu operating system or as your host device, this is actually where you turn off your computer system or you shut down, just like a Mac OS. So I'm going to click on power off. Yes, power off. So you can see my virtual machine has shut down now. So I can now go to my virtual box and close it. So that's all about our virtual machine. Okay, so let's continue on the Windows operating system. So when you download Windows Update Assistant, it's going to walk you through the steps of how to upgrade your Windows device. So then next, computers running on Microsoft XP or Windows Vista do not have an upgrade path to Windows 10, like I said earlier. So they will require a clean installation in the sense that you will need to wipe the entire hard drive and do a fresh installation of Windows with a bootable media, maybe a Windows disk or a flash drive. So Windows 10 installation media can be created using the create Windows 10 installation media tool. All right. So now, when you want to upgrade your system, one of the things that you need to do, you might need to back up your data or migrate your data. So when a new operating system is installed, user's data must be migrated from the old operating system to a new one. So we can use the user state migration tool in the command line utility to simplify state migration. Or you can use the Windows Easy Transfer when switching from an old computer, or you can use PC Remover Express. So this PC Mobile Express is a tool for transferring selected files. So those are, you can see all of them, Windows Easy Transfer, PC Mobile Express, and this one actually uses CMD. So let's go to disk management. So the two most common types of data storage devices used today in our computer systems are the hard disk drives, which are hard disk drive is actually a metallic storage device. So you can see it here. This is the hard disk drive. It has a metallic disk inside that reads. Then we have flash memory. A flash memory based drive. These are solid state drive, which is SSD, and or a flash drive, like I said earlier. So they are flash memory drives, they are circuits. Then where you need to also know that this solid state drive is actually faster than the hard disk drives, and it produces less heat than the hard disk drive. Your hard disk drive can actually produce a lot of heat. So sometimes you might even be hearing the sound or the vibration on your computer system. You wonder why is your laptop vibrating? It's actually your hard disk that is vibrating. Then modern operating system ship with an installer program. So which means that when you purchase a new laptop, it actually comes with an already installed program. So installers usually prepare the disk to receive the operating system, but it is crucial for a technician to understand the terms and methods involved in this preparation. So there are different kinds of hard drive partitioning. So there are two standards actually that are globally recognized, which is the master boot record, which is MBR, or the globally unique identifier, which is GUID partition table. Now, for the MBR, which is master boot record, it says it contains information on how the hard drive partitions are organized. It is 512 bytes long and contains the bootloader and executable program that allow a user to choose from multiple operating systems. It is commonly used in computers with BIOS-based firmware. Now, whereas the GPT, or globally unified identifier partition table, is designed as a partition table scheme standard for hard drives, and it makes use of a number of modern techniques. So it expands on the older, is a more improved version of the MBR, and it is commonly used with computers with UEFI firmware. So there's a difference between BIOS and UEFI. They're also actually the same thing. The reason BIOS is more like a command line or command-based firmware, in the sense that what you'll be seeing is actually a black screen and text written on it. But the UEFI is actually going to show you those, just like the way you have your computer system, you see your icons, you have a mouse to navigate. So that's how the UEFI works. So now the major differences between these two kinds of standard partition is that for the MBR, it has a maximum of 4 primary partitions, while the GPT has a maximum of 128 partitions. So I can partition my drive 1, 2, 3, and 4 times for the MBR, only 4 times. Then it supports a maximum size of 2 terabytes. So you can now understand, since the GPT supports a maximum size of 9.4 zettabytes, so you now understand that servers use this GPT partitioning standards for their systems. So you now understand that they might now need to partition their large storage device, which could be 700 zettabytes or 800 zettabytes, into different smaller partitions to give to different companies to use. So depending on how many companies ask for. So the company asks for request for a bigger size, they just allocate more size to that partition that they've allocated to that company. So any computer can actually boot from the MBR, and partition and boot data are stored in one place. So while for the GPT, the computer must be UEFI based and run a 64-bit operating system before it can boot any media that has been on a flash drive that is GPT partitioned. So the primary partition, there are different logic drives or partitions. So we have primary, active, extended. So on the primary partition contains the OS, which is where your Windows operating system is installed. Then on MBR, the active partition is used to store the boot and OS. Then if more than 4 partitions are needed on an MBR disk, one partition can be designated an extended partition. So a logic drive is a section of an extended partition used to separate information for administrative purposes. So I'm going to actually open up, since I said this is actually going to be purely practical. So I'm just going to open up so if you want to open up where you can partition your hard drive, you can go through, just search for disk management. So it's actually inside the control panel. So I've actually opened the disk management. So you can see the different partitions of my hard drive. My hard drive is actually 500 gig of SSD, and I have a logic drive, my primary partition, and this for my secondary partition. So you see different, for example, now, if I wanted to shrink volume, now if I wanted to create a new partition, what I'll do is that I'll click on shrink volume. So once I click on shrink, oh, I don't think I should bring this to my hard drive. Let me just quickly get a flash drive. Let me just quickly get a flash drive so that I can show you this. Okay, so I've gotten a flash drive now. I'm just going to plug in the flash drive so that you understand what I'm saying. So once I plug in my flash drive, it's going to show up on my disk management page. It's not showing yet. Okay, so you can see it has showed up here. So which means it's actually going to show here. You can see this. And I have, let me see how much space I have free. I have up to 3 gig free. So let's assume I want to, so you can see the partitioning scheme. This is actually FAT32. Don't know, did I know? So let's shrink. Oh, I can't shrink this one a little bit again because it's actually full. So let me see if I can delete some things and get back to us. Okay, so while that's still moving out, I'm going to show us you can actually create multiple accounts on your Windows device. So once you open up your settings, you can come to accounts. So right here, I can create add someone else to my computer system. So from here, I can actually create a new user such that once I create this new user, I'll be able to sign into this person and sign into my own administrator user. So, but I won't be doing that now because I do that, it might happen to restart, and that will mean me ending this meeting. So, but let's look at that. Windows uses single sign-on authentication, which allows users to log in once and access all system resources. User accounts allow multiple users to share a single computer using their own files and settings. So it now offers Windows offers two kinds of accounts, which is the administrator account and standard user. So administrator is actually the first one that is installed on your computer system. Then the standard user is the one that it creates. That's an extra user that I'll add to my computer system. So now Windows updates. So for you to update your Windows system, you have to go to your settings. For example, my settings is open right here. Let me go back to the home. So I'm on my home page now, and I can see my Windows updates here, right? So once I click on it, I can actually check for updates. So right here, once I check for updates, once there are updates available, Windows is going to ask me to download them. Then also you can update the drivers. Remember I talked about drivers for your printers and the rest. So those drivers can be upgraded from the device manager. So if you want to locate the device manager, you can actually open it from your control panel directly, or you just search for device manager. So you can see device manager here. I'm going to open it up right now. So this is where you actually see all the drivers for the different devices connected to your computer system. So my Bluetooth requires a driver to work. So I can actually install or update the driver. You can see this. So my camera, I can install or upgrade my camera driver right here. Once I right click out, you see update, disable, uninstall. Once I disable my driver, my system is no longer going to recognize my camera or my webcam. Remember I said that the driver actually helps you to understand these external devices that are being connected to your computer system. So my webcam is like another device that's connected to the computer system. So it enables my computer system to understand the data that is coming from these external devices. So the same thing with my mouse, my keyboard, so my memory, all my ports, everything. So you can actually see how these things work right here. So this cloning, you can actually clone your disk. If I have another disk installed, another external hard drive, I wanted to clone everything that's on my present hard drive now. So that hard drive, what I will need to do, I can just come and search for, sorry, for system preparation tool. So once I open my so Okay, I think I have to locate it from my it's not going since it's not showing here. I can search it here. Once I press my Windows key and R, so it's actually going to open up this dialog box for me. So I can actually search for it here with the shortcut system preparation to this SYSPRAP. Once I open it, it's going to open up this kind of dialog box here. So look at it here. My step preparation is why it's not showing because my is a system application. It was not given, it was not added to the start menu, so it's not available on the start menu. So this is actually where it is. So you can see this. So after the box experience, I can do a lot from here. This will actually enable me to duplicate a hard drive that's single to there. But if I want to do that, it's going to ask me to shut down my laptop and I won't be able to do anything. And it means I have to end this meeting. But we can also check out some of these videos on YouTube and you see how they are being done. So after installation methods, you can install Windows on your computer via network, a network cable. You can do that again via image disk, which is something like this, a CD-ROM drive, or also via a flash drive. So recovery partition. The Windows computer contains a section of the disk that is inaccessible to the user. Now, this partition, called the recovery partition, contains an image that can be used to restore the computer to its original configuration. The recovery partition is often hidden to prevent it from being used for anything other than restoration. To restore the computer using the recovery partition, you often must use a special key or key combination when the computer is starting. So when you want to do this, you have to do this via the BIOS window. Let me open back my disk manager. So you can see here, this is my recovery partition available, LD, recovery what? Partition. So it actually enables me to recover files that are lost in this space. So this one enables me. Look at this one, EFI system partition. This is where, this one is for just system files, 100 MB. This one is where my boot, my operating system is installed and every other thing. But this enables me to recover data that has been lost in this. So let's see if I can shrink. Okay, I can't still shrink. Uh-oh. It means that we're not going to actually do this practical of partitioning the drive since my system is enabling me to shrink my hard drive or my flash drive. But let's continue. So there are upgrade methods. You can do a clean install or you go to the Windows 10 Enterprise application and do a fresh upgrade. I talked about how we can upgrade your system. Go via the Windows Update or Windows Upgrade Assistant. So the boot sequence actually, it has set where your computer is going to boot from via your BIOS setup or your BIOS menu or UEFI menu. So if you have a Windows, if you have Windows installed on a flash drive, you can actually boot your Windows, your computer system from that flash drive, and it's going to run. The system is going to boot. You are going to have an operating system running your computer system because the operating system has been installed on the flash drive. So for you to choose whether you want your system to boot from its hard drive or a flash drive, you need to set this via the boot menu. So that when you start up Windows, for example, Windows 7, sometimes you might see these advanced boot options. If you want to open up this menu, when your system is starting, it might show you a write-up. Click on F something to open advanced boot option or click escape to open advanced boot option. Once you do that, it's going to open this. So it's going to actually this actually safe mode actually is a mode that helps you diagnose your computer system. Let me say you have problem with virus or problem with uninstalling an application. You can actually uninstall an application via the safe mode. and to enable you to completely install the application. Sometimes you might even encounter problems whereby you install an application, you see it again inside your computer system. You uninstall it, restart your computer system, you see it again. So you can actually uninstall it completely via the safe mode. So when you open up the safe mode, it's going to load like your normal computer system, but you just find out that the icons are a little bit bigger, then your taskbar will be bigger. Everything will just be so big. That's just the difference between safe mode. So same thing is available on the Windows 10 and the Windows 8 startup modes. So that's it. We've come to a summary of this chapter. So we'll look forward to our next class, which is next week, which is this Thursday. So please, before then, is there any question that anybody would like to ask? Okay, so I can go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, good afternoon, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Well,
You're welcome, sir.
I want to ask, sir, the quizzes we have after each chapter, are we to be doing them?
Yes.
Okay. So both the one we have after each topic and the one we have at the end of the chapter, we are to do them, right?
Yes, sir. You have to do all of them.
Okay. So is there going to be any other general test or certification after this whole thing?
Okay, yes. As Dr. Ekpa would be the one to administer that.
Okay, but we should go ahead and be doing those ones.
Yes, you go ahead and do the quizzes, all the chapter examinations. You see chapter 1 exam, chapter 2 exam, chapter 3 exam, chapter 4 exam.
Okay, thank you, sir. So the other thing I
you're
want to talk
welcome.
about is that this is our practical session. You know, most of the things you have discussed with us, right from the printer lesson that I joined, I discovered that they are more of the practical thing. So I don't know, how can you help us in that aspect? Because just reading it is not the same thing as we having that hands-on. You will agree with me, sir. So I don't
Yes.
know how you can help us on that.
Okay, there are actually live videos on that on the NetAcad site. So where they did these things practically. So you actually see a live video where they connect some, for example, the computer system you have done in chapter 1, is where they connect the power cables, where they do everything live for you to see.
Okay,
So that's
the
yes on
okay,
the
when you log into your Cisco Academy, huh?
yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
That will be all, sir.
All right. Okay, so please, any other question? All right. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.